Aquaman, Arthur Curry, is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. Created by Norris and Mort Weisinger, the character debuted in Mort Comics number 73, November 1941. Initially a backup feature in DC's anthology titles, Aquaman later starred in several volumes of a solo comic book series. During the late 1950s and 1960s superhero revival period known as the Silver Age, he was a founding member of the Justice League. In the 1990s modern age, writers interpreted Aquaman's character more seriously, with storylines depicting the weight of his role as King of Atlantis. The character's original 1960s animated appearances left a lasting impression, making Aquaman widely recognized in popular culture and one of the world's most recognized superheroes. Jokes about his wholesome, weak portrayal of super friends and perceived feeble powers and abilities have been staples of comedy programs and stand-up routines, leading DC at several times to attempt to make the character edgier or more powerful in comic books. Modern comic book depictions have attempted to reconcile these various aspects of his public perception, with many versions often casting Aquaman as serious and brooding, saddled with an ill reputation, and struggling to find a true longing purpose beyond his public side as a deposed king and a fallen hero. Aquaman has been featured in several adaptations, first appearing in animated form in the 1967 Superman, Aquaman Hour of Adventure, and then in the related Super Friends program. Since then he has appeared in various animated productions, including prominent roles in the 2000 series Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and Batman, The Brave and the Bold, as well as several DC Universe animated original movies. Actor Alan Ritchson also portrayed the character in the live-action television show Smallville. In the DC Extended Universe, actor Jason Momoa portrays the character in the films Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Justice League, and Aquaman. Aquaman's pre-crisis publication history spans many titles and anthologies, and can be difficult to follow. Aquaman's appearances began in Mort Comics number 73, and continued until issue number 107. All superhero features would be replaced with humor features by issue number 108. At this time, Aquaman began his first run in Adventure Comics, lasting from issue number 103 to issue number 282. A 4-issue run in Showcase followed. These Showcase issues are notable as Aquaman's first cover appearances in any comic. Soon after this, Aquaman began his first solo series, which would last 56 issues in its initial run. After a 3-year hiatus, Aquaman returned to Adventure Comics for 15 issues, number 435, number 437 and number 441, number 452. At this point, his new solo series began at number 57, continuing the numbering from the initial run, and ended after 7 issues with number 63. Aquaman once again returned to Adventure Comics as part of the Dollar Comics revamp of the series. When this ended, Aquaman appeared in 3 issues of World's Finest Comics, number 262 to 264, and then returned to Adventure Comics for 4 more issues, number 475, number 478. The feature found a new home in Action Comics for 14 issues, number 517, number 520, number 527, number 530, number 536, number 540, which would be the end of Aquaman's pre-crisis solo appearances. Post-crisis, Aquaman's next solo titles were 2 miniseries and 2 story must start with my father, a famous undersea explorer. If I spoke his name, you would recognize it. My mother died when I was a baby, and he turned to his work of solving the ocean's secrets. His greatest discovery was an ancient city, in the depths where no other diver had ever penetrated. My father believed it was the lost kingdom of Atlantis. He made himself a watertight home in one of the palaces and lived there, studying the records and devices of the race's marvelous wisdom. From the books and record, he learned ways of teaching me to live under the ocean, drawing oxygen from the water and using all the power of the sea to make me wonderfully strong and swift. By training in 100 scientific secrets, I became what you see, a human being who lives and thrives under the water. In his early Golden Age appearances, Aquaman can breathe underwater and control fish and other underwater life for up to a minute. Initially, he was depicted as speaking to sea creatures in their own language rather than telepathically, and only when they were close enough to hear him. Within a 20 yards, 18 meters, radius, Aquaman's adventures took place all across the world, and his base was a wrecked fishing boat kept underwater, in which he lived. 11. During his wartime adventures, most of Aquaman's foes were Nazi U-boat commanders and various Axis villains from when he once worked with the All-Star Squadron. The rest of his adventures in the 1940s and 1950s had him dealing with various sea-based criminals, including modern-day pirates such as his longtime arch-enemy Blackjack, as well as various threats to aquatic life, shipping lanes, and sailors. Aquaman's last appearance in Mort Comics was in issue number 106, before being moved along with Superboy and Green Arrow to Adventure Comics, starting with issue number 103 in 1946. Aquaman's adventures continued to be published in Adventure Comics through the 1940s and 1950s, as one of the few superheroes to last through the 1950s in continuous publication. Starting in the late 1950s, new elements to Aquaman's backstory were introduced, with various new supporting characters added and several adjustments made to the character, his origins, his powers, and persona. The first of these elements was the story Aquaman's Undersea Partner in Adventure Comics number 229, October 1956, where his octopus sidekick, Pop-Pop, was first introduced. This and subsequent elements were later removed or altered from the Aquaman character after the establishment of DC's multiverse in the 1960s, attributed to the Aquaman of Earth 1. The Silver Age Aquaman made his first appearance in Adventure Comics number 260, May 1959. In it and subsequent Silver Age comics, it was revealed that Aquaman was Arthur Curry, the son of Tom Curry, a lighthouse keeper, in Atlanta, the water-breathing outcast from the lost, underwater city of Atlantis. Due to his heritage, Aquaman discovers as a youth that he possesses various superhuman abilities, including the powers of surviving underwater, communication with sea life, and tremendous swimming prowess. Eventually, Arthur decided to use his talents to become the defender of the Earth's oceans. It was later revealed that he had, in his youth, adventured as Aquaboy and on one occasion, met Superboy, Earth's only other publicly active superpowered hero at the time. When Arthur grew up, he called himself Aquaman. It was later revealed that after Atlanta's death, Tom Curry met and married an ordinary human woman and had a son named Orm Curry, Aquaman's half-brother. Orm grew up as a troubled youth in the shadow of his brother, who constantly bailed him out of trouble in the home. He grew to hate Aquaman not only for the powers that he could never possess but also because he believed that their father would always favor Aquaman. Orm disappeared after becoming an amnesiac and would resurface years later as Aquaman's nemesis, Ocean Master. Aquaman's ability to talk with fish eventually expanded to full-fledged telepathic communication to sea creatures even from the great distances. He also retroactively developed a specific weakness akin to Superman's vulnerability to kryptonite or Green Lantern's vulnerability to the color yellow. Aquaman had to come into contact with water at least once per hour, or he would die. Prior to this story, Aquaman could exist both in and out of water indefinitely. Aquaman was included in the Justice League of America comic book series, appearing with the team in their very first adventure, and was also a founding member of the team. Aquaman took part in most of the 1960s submerged fictional city of New Venice, 18, which became Aquaman's base of operations for a time. Aquaman is recognized as the son of Atlanta and is later voted to be the king after the death of the former regent, who has no heirs. By this time Aquaman had met Mera, a queen from a water-based dimension, and married her shortly after he became king. They soon have a son, Arthur Jr., nicknamed Aquaman. The 1960s series introduced other such arch-enemies as the Ocean Master, Aquaman's amnesiac half-brother Orm, Black Manta, the Fisherman, the Scavenger, and the terrorist organization known as OGRE. Other recurring members of the Aquaman cast introduced in this series include the well-meaning but annoying Quisp, the Water Sprite, Dr. Hilco, the trustworthy Atlantean scientist who became Aquaman's royal advisor and whom Aquaman eventually appoints to be king after leaving the throne himself, and Tula, known as Aquagirl, an Atlantean princess who was Aqualad's primary love interest. In the mid-1980s, after his own feature's demise, Aquaman is briefly made the leader of the Justice League of America. In the storyline in Justice League of America number 228 to 230, an invasion of Earth by a race of Martians occurs at a time when the core members were missing. Aquaman is thus forced to defend Earth with a league much depleted in power and capability, and he takes it upon himself to disband the Justice League altogether in Justice League of America Annual number 2, 1984, thereafter reforming it with new bylaws requiring members to give full participation to the League's cases. With the help of veteran Justice League members Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, and Elongated Man, Aquaman recruits and trains 4 new and untried members, Gypsy, Vile, Vixen, and Sting, also relocating the team's headquarters to a reinforced bunker in Detroit, Michigan after the destruction of the JLA's satellite headquarters during the invasion. 31. Aquaman's participation in this new version of the Justice League ended in number 243, October 1985, when he resigns to work on his marriage with Mera. After the 1985 Crisis on Infinite Earths miniseries, several short miniseries were produced in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, beginning with 1986's 4-issue Aquaman, February to May 1986, written by Neil Cosmo, and featuring Aquaman in a new, largely deep-sea blue costume. The series was well received and a follow-up limited series was in the works, though it was eventually cancelled due to creative problems. This series also expanded on several details of the Silver Age Aquaman's origin as well as Aquaman's relationship with his half-brother, Ocean Master, whose origin was retold in more complete detail. The series also added mystical elements to Aquaman's mythology and reinvented Ocean Master as sorcerer. Aquaman reappeared in his blue costume in the Aquaman Special Number 1, 1988. In late 1988, the character appeared in the Invasion storyline, guest starring with the Doom Patrol, once again in his orange and green costume. In 1989, The Legend of Aquaman Special, officially titled as Aquaman Special Number 1 in the Comics League Indicia, the second special in back-to-back years, rewrote Aquaman's mythos and origin, though keeping most of his Silver Age history intact. The special was written by writer Robert Loren Fleming, with plots, breakdown art by Keith Giffen and full pencil art by artist Kurt Swan. This origin story of the modern age recounts that Aquaman is born as bride to Queen Atlanta and the mysterious wizard Adlin in the Atlantean city of Bozindus. As a baby, he was abandoned on Mercy Reef, which is above sea level at low tide, causing exposure to air which would be fatal to Atlanteans, because of his blonde hair, which was seen by the superstitious Atlanteans as a sign of a curse they called the Mark of Coriolis. The only individual who spoke up on Norris' behalf was Vilko, a scientist who had no patience for myth or superstition. While his pleas fell on deaf ears, Vilko would later become a close friend and advisor to the young Orin. As a feral child who raised himself in the wilds of the ocean with only sea creatures to keep him company, Orin was found and taken in by a lighthouse keeper named Arthur Curry and named Orin Arthur Curry after himself. One day, Orin returns home and finds that his adoptive father has disappeared, so he sets off on his own. In his early teens, Orin ventures to the far north, where he meets and falls in love with an Inupiat girl eventually driven insane by grief over the death of Arthur Jr., and is committed to an asylum in Posidness. Shortly afterwards, an alien force conquers Atlantis. Arthur is forced to save the city but is hampered by an escaped Mira, who personally blames Arthur for the death of their son. In a fit of rage, Mira leaves Aquaman's dimension. The publication of writer Peter David's The Atlantis Chronicles No. 1-7, March to September 1990, which tells the story of Atlantis from antediluvian times to Aquaman's birth, introduced the ancient Atlantean character Zarin, after whom Aquaman was named, and Edmund, who was revealed to be Aquaman's father. Another Aquaman ongoing series with creative team Sean McLaughlin and Ken Hooper, No. 1-13, thereafter ran from December 1991 to December 1992, which portrayed Aquaman reluctantly deciding to remain in Posidness as its protector once again. For a time, he serves as Atlantis' representative to the United Nations but always finds himself thrust back into the superhero role. Becoming more and more of a workaholic and solitary figure, Aquaman eventually returns to the oceans. He soon becomes tangled up in another attempt by Black Manta to destroy Atlantis by dragging it into a war with a surface nation. Peter David returned to the character in another limited series, Aquaman, Time and Tide, a 1993 to 1994 four-issue series which further explained Aquaman's origins, as he finally learns all about the history of his people through the Atlantis Chronicles, which are presented as historical texts passed down and updated through the centuries. Aquaman learns that his birth name was Orin and that he and his enemy Ocean Master share the same father, an ancient Atlantean wizard named Atlan. This revelation sends Orin into a bout of rage and depression, setting the stage for later confrontations between the two, as it is said in the chronicles that two brothers will also battle for control of Atlantis. This is in contrast to the Silver Age Aquaman, who had always known that the Ocean Master was his half-brother Orm, although Orm's amnesia prevented him from remembering that fact for some time. This series is credited by Kevin Melrose of Comic Book Resources with helping the character reach the height of his modern era popularity. Aquaman starred in his own series again with the publication of the 5th volume of Aquaman No. August 1994, initially scripted by Peter David, following up on his 1993 Time and Tide miniseries. This series was the longest running for the character, lasting until its 75th issue. David left the series after issue number 46, July 1998, after working on it for nearly 4 years. David began by giving Aquaman an entirely new look, forsaking his former clean-cut appearance. Following his discoveries reading the Atlantis Chronicles during Time and Tide, Aquaman withdraws from the world for a time. Garth finds him weeks later, with his hair and beard grown long, brooding in his cave. Aquaman loses his left hand when the madman Charybdis, attempting to force Arthur to show him how he can harness Arthur's ability to communicate with sea life, sticks Arthur's hand into a piranha-infested pool. This causes Aquaman to become somewhat unhinged, and he begins having prophetic dreams, and then, in need of a symbol, attaches a harpoon spearhead to his left arm in place of his missing hand. His classic orange shirt is shredded in a battle with Lobo, and rather than replace it, he goes shirtless for a while before donning a gladiatorial manica. After the destruction of the harpoon, Aquaman has it replaced with a cybernetic prosthetic from SDR Labs. This new harpoon has a retractable reel that he can fully control. A major storyline, culminating in number 25, concerns the 5 lost cities of Atlantis. Facing an unearthly invading species linked to the origin of the Atlanteans, Aquaman has to search out and unite the lost cities. This storyline establishes him as a warrior king of a major political power, ruling largely undisputed over all the Atlantean cities. The remainder of Peter David's run focused on Mort coming to terms with his genetic heritage and his role as a king. During this time he discovers the remnants of a sentient alien ship beneath Posidness and is able to take control of it, returning Posidness to the surface and bringing Atlantis into greater contact with the outside world. The cultural changes this brings about, including increased tourism coup d'etat orchestrated by his son Cotriac and his advisor Hulpo. His second harpoon is also destroyed, this time in a battle with Noble, king of the lurkers. He replaces it with a golden prosthetic hand developed by Atlantean scientists which can change shape at his command, thus retaining the powers of the harpoon but being more all-purpose. After a brief war with an island nation, Aquaman expands Atlantis' surface influence by annexing the country to Atlantis. Aquaman had no regular series of his own from 2001 to 2003, but his plot went through several developments via his cameo appearances in several other titles. Aquaman was a founding member of the reformed JLA and remained an active, if sometimes reluctant member of that team, until the Our Worlds at War storyline in 2001, shortly after the cancellation of Aquaman Volume 5, during which Aquaman and the city of Pozinus disappeared during a battle between Aquaman and an Imperex probe. The Justice League eventually found out that the city was still there, just magically shielded, but in ruins and apparently uninhabited. The Atlanteans were trapped in the ancient past, where Tempest had sent them as a last measure when it appeared that the city would be destroyed by the probe. There, however, they were enslapped by their own Atlantean ancestors, led by a powerful sorceress named Gamely, and Aquaman himself was transformed into living water and imprisoned in an ornamental pool. Over time, this civilization had collapsed until only Gamely herself, now immensely powerful, inhabited the ruins. After a few months of their time, fully 15 years for the Atlanteans, the JLA 3 Aquaman in the Obsidian Age storyline in JLA. Although the original League is killed by Gamely, their souls are contained by the magician Manant Raven to use in a spell to contain Gamely in Atlantis until the present day, when he is able to resurrect them. Aquaman is freed from his prison in a pool, and Zatanna enhances his powers so that he can now control the entire ocean as a water ray. With this power, Aquaman is able to sever Gamely's connection to the city by sinking it under the sea again. While he fights Gamely, the League members return the modern Atlanteans to the present, where they can begin rebuilding the city, which is once again at the bottom of the sea. The sixth Aquaman series began shortly afterward, initially written by Rick Toussaint to take Aquaman in a more mystical direction. Subsequent writers who contributed to the series include John Ostrander, Will Pfeiffer, Dave Williams, and John Arcudi. This series ran 57 issues, starting in December 2002, cover dated February 2003, initially focusing on Aquaman's efforts to survive after he was exiled from Atlantis and the ocean. The theme of the storyline changed when Aquaman became involved after a sizable portion of San Diego sunk into the ocean. Over the next few months, it was discovered that the sinking was the work of a scientist who had acquired a sample of Aquaman's DNA. Believing that the human race as it currently existed would destroy Earth, he had sunk the city while using the sample he took from Aquaman to convert most of the residents into water breathers. Aquaman goes on to establish himself as the protector of San Diego, aided by new Aquagirl Lorena Marquez. Despite such problems as the human residents' poor reaction to being trapped underwater or Ocean Master's attempt to rewrite history so that he is Aquaman while Orin is Ocean Master. Starting with number 40, May 2006, following the events of the Infinite Crisis storyline, it was renamed Aquaman, Sword of Atlantis, which ended with issue number 57, October 2007. Following the 1 year later storyline, starting with Aquaman Volume 6, number 40, May 2006, the series was renamed Aquaman, Sword of Atlantis and taken in an entirely different direction by writer Kurt Butters. In this version, Aquaman is missing and presumed dead following the events of Infinite Crisis. A young man with aquatic powers by the name of Arthur Joseph Curry is summoned by the mysterious dweller in the depths to take up the mantle of Aquaman, but it gradually emerges that the dweller himself is Aquaman, having lost much of his memory and been strangely mutated while gaining magical powers. See the Arthur Joseph Curry section below. These changes were several San Diego inhabitants who had lost the ability to live in water. Using the bones of his severed left hand in a magical ritual, the sea gods give Orin the power to raise San Diego onto dry land. However, as a side effect of this, Orin mutates into the Dweller of the Depths, and loses his memories. The fate the Dweller foresees for Arthur Joseph Curry once they meet is revealed to really only be a confused memory of the Dweller's own past as Aquaman. In the midst of trying to help his successor, Arthur Joseph, the Dweller, Orin, is murdered by Norris. Upon the receipt of Orin's body, members of the Justice League of America, including Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, and the Flash, examine the body in Atlantis and wish the best for Mera and the new Aquaman. Orin seemingly reappears in Atlantis during the 2008 Final Crisis storyline to fend off the forces of Darkseid, but this Aquaman is revealed to be from another within the multiverse. The appearance of this Aquaman is later perceived by Hal Jordan and Barry Allen as an unsubstantiated rumor, since this person was never seen nor heard from again. Sometime between his death and the beginning of the 2008-09 Blackest Night storyline, Orin's body is moved and buried on land at Mercy Reef alongside Tom Curry in accordance with his final wishes. In Blackest Night #1, Garth returns to Atlantis and tells Orin's wife Mera that he is angry at the notion of Aquaman's body being buried on land. Mera relays to Tempest that Orin felt safe on land and that it is indeed what he wanted. Sometime later, a black power ring is seen entering Orin's brain, bidding him to rise. Aquaman's corpse rises, along with those of Tulin Dolphin as revenant members of the Black Lantern Corps, and demands that Mera reunite with him in death, offering her a chance to see her son again. Garth is killed and joins the Black Lanterns himself. Mera rejects the corpse before fleeing. In the climax of the miniseries, Aquaman is among those resurrected by the White Lantern entity, and is reunited with Mera. Because the Black Lantern ring helps reconstruct Orin's body, when he is resurrected his hand is restored as well. Aquaman and Mera spend the night together in the lighthouse of Amnesty Bay, but in the morning Mera finds Arthur on the dock looking at the sea and wondering why he was resurrected. Later, they intercept a pirate vessel but Aquaman finds that he can only call on Dead Sea Life to help him. While cleaning up an oil spill, Aquaman and Mera are attacked by soldiers from Mera's homeworld, led by Siren. Mera reveals that she was sent to kill him. She also hints that, despite the long-lasting exile of her people, Zebul's soldiers had been enemies of Black Manta himself from a distant time, even preceding the first public appearance of Aquaman, and states that, despite Mera's original mission being a solo one, Siren is now backed by the entire Death Squad, elite Zebul soldiers, at the orders of the acting princess. She later reveals that Siren is her younger sister. Aquaman is told by the White Lantern entity to find Jackson Hyde before a second, unidentified group does. Mera states that she knows who Hyde is, and after she tells Aquaman he leaves and rescues Jackson from a Zebul attack. It is revealed that Aquaman's Silver Age origin has been re-established and he is once again the half-human son of Tom Curry and an Atlantean queen. The entity subsequently reduces Aquaman to what appears to be white water. Aquaman is revealed to be one of the elementals, and was transformed by the entity to become the element of water and protect the Star City forest from the Dark Avatar, which appears to be the Black Lantern version of the Swamp Thing. After the Dark Avatar is defeated, Swamp Thing returns Aquaman to normal. Afterward, Aquaman is reunited with Mera, at which point he discovers that the Zebul's weapons were made of Atlantean technology. As part of the New 52, DC's 2011 relaunch of their entire superhero line, Jeff Johns, Ivan Race and Joe Prado served as the initial creative team of the company's new Aquaman series, the first issue of which was released September 28, 2011. The three creators remained on the title for the first 16 issues. That subsequently leading to the first continuing, Aquaman-related crossover in years, Throne of Atlantis. The relaunched series cemented Aquaman's status as the half-human son of Tom Curry in Atlanta, and saw him return to Amnesty Bay with Mera. Greatly distressed by the harsh treatment given to the oceans during his time as ruler of Atlantis, Aquaman decides to abdicate the Atlantean throne and return to full-time hero Russian known as Vostok X, an ex-army veteran called Prisoner of War, the operative, and an Iranian called Kahina the Seer. All of the others have in their possession an enchanted relic from Atlantis. From 2014 to 2015, an independent Aquaman and the Others series was launched based on the success of these new characters. The 2015 Convergence storyline gave Aquaman a new look at issue number 41. In this story, he has been deposed from his throne by Mort, now Queen of Atlantis, who is now hunting him as a fugitive. Along the way, Arthur acquires some new powers and new equipment, giving him access to powerful mystical capabilities. It is later revealed that Atlantis is really being run by Siren, identical twin sister of Mort, whom she has taken prisoner. Following a company-wide rebranding and DC rebirth with one focused point to bring back legacy and relationships, Arthur finally proposes to Mort and DC Universe, Rebirth number 1. Aquaman was given an 8th volume of his eponymous series, which started with a one-shot comic book entitled Aquaman, Rebirth number 1, August 2016. This series kept writer Dan Abnett, who had taken over the title for the 3 last issues of the New 52 and who had previously written the character for a short time a decade earlier. The 8th volume of Aquaman focuses on Aquaman's role as king and diplomat, with Arthur attempting to strengthen Atlantis' surface relationships by opening an Atlantean embassy in Amnesty Bay, with Mort appointed as ambassador. The series largely focuses on the main cast featured in the New 52 series, consisting of Aquaman, Mort, and Black Manta, while also fleshing out forgotten side characters such as Lagoon Boy, Tula, Aquabra, Blackjack, and others. After the events of Drowned Earth, Arthur loses his memories. He finds himself living amongst an enclave of island dwellers making their home on unspoken water. Unbeknownst to him, however, this habitation is a place set within the sphere of the gods where forgotten deities go. Either way, after they perish, fade from their worshippers' memories or simply forget their role in service of the ocean's majesty. One such goddess, who was actually a primordial adept from before time, begrudgingly makes her home on a separate island adjacent to that of the divinity who betrayed her and her departed husband. Nella, whose real name is actually Mother of Salt, has every intention of drowning the world in crime with the intended consequence of killing everything that lives and breathes on it in revenge and to start over, remaking the universe in her own image. With the help of one of Nama's cast-off creatures, needed to regain her full power as well as aid from the forgotten gods, who is reawakened by Arthur/Andy's clarion call through the life force power, Aquaman is able to best the vengeful divine progenitor and scatter her essence across the cosmos, ending her threat for a time. And thanks to ridding them and quelling their mother's fury, the sea gods of the world and the newly revived Father Sea, the aforementioned life made of Mother Salt, give praise to Arthur for his valor and integrity. The sea gods awaken his dormant demigod abilities by bestowing upon him tribal tattoos, christening him a bastion of the high seas, while Father Sea himself retrieves Arthur/Andy's trident from the waters, bestowing it to him once more. Yearning to remember who he was, Arthur, Andy undergoes a ritual where he communes with another prime ocean entity known as Mother Shark, who, when asked to, restores Arthur's memories, wherein he realizes Mary killed him in a fit of rage because of his hesitation about hearing that he's going to become a father. Aquaman and the sea gods return to Amnesty Bay. The gods settle on Amnesty Island, in an abandoned lighthouse formerly occupied by Tristram Mort, a 19th century horror writer. Aquaman is called upon to bail Jackson Hyde out of jail, and Jackson appoints himself Aquaman's assistant. Along with Cully and Tula, the two fight a sea monster which mysteriously disappears when the new lamp in the restored lighthouse is destroyed. In Amnesty Bay, civilian named Ralph is killed during the fight, and at his funeral, Aquaman meets the resurrected Tristan Mort. In Justice League number 30, an unidentified man in a hooded cloak and mask is briefly shown lurking in the Hall of Justice, watching as the League brief an assemblage of superheroes of the current situation with the Legion of Doom. This mysterious figure is revealed to be Aquaman, who has allied himself with the Anti-Monitor against Lex Luthor and Perpetual. He is sent back in time to December 7, 1941, where he helps Flash, Green Lantern, and the Justice of doom. He claims that, following his encounter with the Death Kraken, he was rescued by the Anti-Monitor and sent back to Earth with instructions to secure the fragment of the totality in the past. But inadvertently he landed on the island within the sphere of the gods, losing his memories in the process. This appears to contradict the story of his death at Mort's hands. Aquaman's most widely recognized power is the telepathic ability to communicate with marine life, which he can summon from the great distances. He once stated that this power more relied on encouraging and compelling the subject rather than full control, citing piranha as a species he has trouble commanding under any circumstances due to their ruthlessness and hunger. Although this power is most often and most easily used on beings that live in the sea, Aquaman has at times demonstrated the ability to affect any being that lives upon the sea, for example, sea eagles, or even any being evolved from marine life, for example, humans and some aliens. For the 2011 DC continuity reboot, Aquaman's telepathy has been greatly downplayed, acknowledging that most marine life doesn't possess enough intelligence to carry a meaningful shoot jets of scalding or freezing water from it, healing abilities, the ability to create portals into mystical dimensions that could act as spontaneous transport, control and negate magic, manipulate almost any body of water he sets his focuses on, and the capability to communicate with the Lady of the Lake through his magic water hand. His biological hand was restored when the character was resurrected in Blackest Night number 8. Various times in his life Aquaman has been transformed into a purely oceanic entity with power over all the seas of the world. This was usually temporary, as he would often revert to normal afterwards. Aquaman is a 2018 American superhero film based on the DC Comics character of the same name. Distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, it is the sixth film in the DC Extended Universe, DCU. The film was directed by James Wan, from a screenplay by David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick and Will Beall, and stars Jason Momoa as Aquaman, with Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, Aya Abdul-Mateen II, Lou Lin, and Nicole Kidman in supporting roles. In the film, Aquaman sets out to lead the underwater kingdom of Atlantis, replacing his half-brother, King Orm, who seeks to unite the 7 underwater kingdoms against the surface world. Development began in 2004 but did not gain traction until Man of Steel was released in 2013. In August 2014, Beall and Kurt Johnstad were hired to write competing scripts. Wan signed on as director in April 2015, and in July 2016, the film moved forward with Beall's screenplay. The main cast was confirmed through 2016 and early 2017. Principal photography began in Australia in May 2017, taking place at Village Roadshow Studios on the Gold Coast, Queensland, with additional production teams in Canada, Italy, and Morocco. Filming concluded the following October. Several vendors provided visual effects, ranging from high-detail hair simulations to the creation of CGI animals and locations. Aquaman premiered in London on November 26, 2018, and was released in the United States on December 21. It grossed over $1.1 billion worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film, the highest-grossing film based on the DC Comics character, surpassing 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, the 5th highest-grossing film of 2018, and 20th highest of all time at the time. The film received mixed reviews from critics, who praised Wan's direction, the visual effects and performances, but criticized for its dialogue, runtime and plot. The sequel, Aquaman 2, is set for release on December 16, 2022, and a spin-off, The Trench, is in development. In 1985, Maine lighthouse keeper Thomas Curry rescues Atlanta, the queen of the underwater kingdom of Atlantis. They fall in love and have a son named Arthur, who has the power to communicate with sea creatures. When Atlantean soldiers are sent to retrieve Atlanta, who fled her arranged marriage in Atlantis, she is forced to abandon her family and return to Atlantis, entrusting her advisor, Vilho, to train Arthur. Becoming a skilled warrior, Arthur rejects Atlantis upon learning that Atlanta was executed for having a half-breed son. In the present day, several months after Steppenwolf's invasion, and Arthur help. He refuses, but Mort earns his trust by saving Thomas from a tsunami sent by Orm. Arthur reluctantly accompanies Mort to a rendezvous with Wilco, who urges Arthur to find the Trident of Atlan, a magic artifact of Atlantis' first ruler, to reclaim his rightful place as king. They were ambushed by Orm's men, and Arthur is captured. Arthur is chained and presented to Orm, who blames him and the surface for Atlantis' death. He offers Arthur an opportunity to leave forever, but Arthur challenges him to a duel in the ring of underwater lava. Orm gains the upper hand and nearly kills Arthur before Mort rescues him. Arthur and Mort journey to the fallen kingdom of the deserters hidden under the Sahara Desert, where the Trident was forged, and unlock a holographic message that leads them to Sicily, Italy, where they retrieve the Trident's coordinates. Orm meets David, revealing that the submarine that attacked was the one hijacked by David, hired by Orm to stage an attack from the surface to win Nereus' support. Orm gives David a prototype Atlantean battlesuit to kill Arthur, imprisons Wilco, and coerces the Atlantean kingdom of the fishermen to pledge their allegiance to him by killing their king and forcing the queen and princess, who is next in line for the throne, to assemble their forces out of fear. An armored David rechristens himself Black Manta and ambushes Arthur and Mort in Sicily, grievously injuring Arthur before he is thrown off a cliff to his apparent death. Mort nurses Arthur's wounds as they seek the Trident and encourages him to embrace his destiny as king. At their destination, Arthur and Mort fend off amphibious monsters of the trench, and the wormhole transports them to an uncharted sea at the center of the earth. They are reunited with Atlanna, who was sacrificed to the trench for having Arthur but escaped to the uncharted sea, alive and well. Arthur faces the Carathan, a mythical leviathan and keeper of the Trident, and voices his determination to protect both Atlantis and the surface, proving his worth and reclaiming the Trident, which grants him control over the seven seas. Orm and his allies lead an army against the crustacean forces of the Kingdom of the Brine to complete Orm's preparations. As Orm declares himself Ocean Master, Arthur, and Mort, with the assistance of Carathan and the Drench, lead an army of marine creatures against him. Orm's followers embrace Arthur as the true king upon learning he wields Atlan's Trident. Arthur defeats Orm in combat but spares his life, and Orm accepts his fate after discovering Arthur has rescued their mother. Atlanna reunites with Thomas, while Arthur ascends to the throne with Mort by his side. In a mid-credits scene, David is rescued by Dr. Stephen Shin, a marine scientist and conspiracy theorist obsessed with Atlantis, and agrees to lead Shin there in exchange for help in his revenge on Arthur. In 2004, FilmJerk.com reported that Sunrise Entertainment's Alan and Peter Reich planned to bring Aquaman to the big screen for Warner Brothers, with Robert Bengard writing the screenplay. However, the attempt fell through. In July 2009, it was reported that Aquaman was in development at Leonardo DiCaprio's Appian Way. Warner chairman and CEO Barry Meyer said that an Aquaman film was in development. After Man of Steel's release in 2013, a source from Warner Brothers told The Wrap that they were discussing future films, with the mention of more Man of Steel movies as well as a Superman, Batman film, a Wonder Woman film and an Aquaman film. Jeff Johns told Variety that Aquaman was a priority character. On August 12, 2014, Warner Brothers announced that it had hired screenwriters Will Beall and Kurt Johnstad to pen separate scripts. The film was developed on dual tracks, although only the better version would move forward. On April 10, 2015, The Hollywood Reporter reported that James Wan was the front-runner to direct. In June 2015, Wan was confirmed to direct and overlook the screenplay by Johnstad. On November 12, 2015, David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick was hired to write the script. However, it was unclear whether his would be separate or work with Wan. Previous script plans had been scrapped and Wan and Johns planned to move forward with a new script written by Beall. Later, Johnson McGoldrick was brought back to the project to rewrite Beall's script. In March 2016, it was announced that the events of Aquaman would be set after Justice League. Wan confirmed that cinematographer Don Burgess, who had previously worked with Wan on The Conjuring 2, would serve as cinematographer. pre-production began in Australia in late November 2016. In October 2014, Warner Bros. Announced Aquaman as a part of the DC Extended Universe, with Jason Momoa starring. On October 20, 2014, Momoa revealed that he was preparing for a Justice League film, and that he did not know whether a solo Aquaman film would come before or after. He thought it might be an origin story. In December 2014, it was revealed that Momoa had signed a 4-picture deal with a studio in DC, and he wanted Zack Snyder to direct. On January 13, 2016, The Hollywood Reporter announced that Amber Heard had entered negotiations to play Mera. Her casting was confirmed 2 months later. Gina Carano, Maggie Q, Ronda Rousey and Debbie Gibson were also considered for the role of Mera. In April 2016, Willem Dafoe was cast in an undisclosed role, 36, later revealed to be nude as Volko. On December 12, 2016, it was confirmed that Patrick Wilson would play Aquaman's half-brother. On January 31, 2017, Aya Abdul-Mateen 2 was added to the cast as Black Manta, Aquaman's archenemy in the comics. That same day, press reports noted that Nicole Kidman had entered talks to play Queen Atlanta. 2 months later, Kidman confirmed her participation. By February 2017, New Zealand actor Temuera Morrison had entered talks to play Thomas Curry. On April 12, Dolph Lundgren was cast as Nereus. Ludi Lin was cast in the film on May 15, 2017. Almost 2 weeks later, Michael Beach, who voiced Devil Ray, a character loosely based on Black Manta in Justice League Unlimited, was cast as Black Manta's father. In October 2017, Graham McTavish revealed that he had a role. In April 2018, Randall Park was cast as Dr. Stephen Shin, 47, and in July, Jimin Hounsou, Natalia Safran and Sophia Forrest were cast as the Fisherman King, Fisherman Queen, and the Fisherman Princess, respectively. In November 2018, it was revealed that Julie Andrews had a voice role. Principal photography began in Australia on May 2, 2017, under the working title Ahab. The majority of the film was shot at Village Roadshow Studios in Gold Coast, Queensland, with additional production in Newfoundland, Sicily, and Morocco. Between May and August 2017, location shooting took place on the Australian Gold Coast, including Main Beach, Coolora, Southport, and Amity Point in North Stradbroke Island, Queensland, as well as Hastings Point in New South Wales. On filming underwater sequences, Wan stated that the underwater world is super complicated and it's not an easy shoot. Filming would have begun on the lighthouse set at Hastings Point on August 11, 2017, and ended later that month. Filming took place in Newfoundland and Labrador. Willem Dafoe finished up his part by late September. On October 13, James Wan announced that Patrick Wilson had wrapped. Filming on location took place in Morocco by mid-October, which included the cities of Merzouga and Terfound. Principal photography wrapped on October 21, 2017. James Wan's 5-time collaborator Kirk Morey served as the editor for Aquaman. 2-time Academy Award winner Charles Gibson, Babe and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and Kelvin McElwain, Fast and Furious franchise, served as overall visual effects supervisors. On November 3, 2018, Wan announced that post-production was complete. On March 7, 2018, Rupert Gregson Williams was announced as the composer for Aquaman. Gregson Williams previously wrote the score for Wonder Woman, the 4th film in the DC Extended Universe. The soundtrack was released by Water Tower Music on December 14, 2018. The album features an original song by American musician Skylar Grey titled Everything I Need, written by Gray and Elliot Taylor. Joseph Bishara, Wan's frequent collaborator, composed a piece called Trench Engage for the trench sequence. 2,300 visual effects shots, VFX, appear in the movie, completed by Industrial Light and supervisor for ILM. For the underwater sequences, the actors were shot dry for wet on special tuning fork rigs designed by the FX team, and later the bodies of the actors were replaced with digital doubles in post-production. For creating Atlantis, the team relied on the designs provided by the art department. ILM's environment team created over 200 buildings, including the signature jellyfish buildings, and laid over 7,000 buildings in districts covering almost 600 square miles for the action to travel through. The underwater ships were modeled off organic creatures and designed to move that way. For the entrance to Atlantis sequence, the team built over 150,000 ships to fill the traffic lanes leading into Atlantis. All the animals, including the Keratin, were built by ILM and animated using keyframe animation. Approximately 700 shots in the film required high-detail hair simulations. ILM had to significantly improve their hair simulation software due to the unique aspects of hair flowing underwater. Normally, hair simulations use guide strands to define or influence the movement of groups of hair strands. This did not provide a satisfying look, so ultimately, ILM simulated strands individually, which required heavy computations. Additionally, WAN wanted to be able to direct the hair when the physically accurate simulation resulted in undesirable results. ILM delivered 670 shots. Plague digitally aged Willem Dafoe for the scene where his character Nuidus Vilko trains the young Arthur. Jay Barton served as the VFX supervisor for Digital Domain. They worked on creating the Dead King's Island environment. For the sequence, the actors were shot in a pool of water against blue screen backgrounds, with Digital Domain adding CG extensions, waterfalls, mountains and dinosaurs in post-production. Most of the waterfalls in the scene were created using Houdini, while some were created using practical elements of things such as pouring salt and glass beads. They also built an extensive library of shot FX elements. The dinosaurs were animated using keyframe animation. Digital Domain delivered 1920 shots. David Nelson and Craig Wentworth served as VFX supervisors for Method Studios. Method handled the Sicily fight sequence between Arthur, Mira and Black Manta, Arthur's encounter with the Keratin in the Well of the Souls, and his acquisition of Atlantis Trident. For the Sicily fight sequence, the team built the main square of the Italian village in terracotta tiled roofs set pieces that were backed with blue screen. A completely CG village was also created based on scans and documentation of the real village. For the Well of the Souls sequence, Momoa was filmed dry for wet and captured on set in rigs that simulated underwater movements, but they ultimately felt restrictive, so artists replaced the majority of his performance with a digital body double and added a CG environment, Keratin and Arthur's free-flowing locks. A specially designed 700 FPS shot was used in the scene where the camera travels through Arthur's eyes. Rodeo FX worked on two key sequences, with Sebastian Moreau as VFX supervisor. For the aquarium that young Arthur visits near the beginning, Rodeo FX used simulations as well as algorithms for the fish behavior. They created hard and soft corals by developing a colonization growth system, along with procedural stem and tentacle generation tools. They also created the environments for the Atlantis ruins below the desert. Artists used the Lego-type approach to layer the environment with a large amount of sand, dust, and rocks, all of which would realistically give way to the characters' interactions. From there, they sculpted ruined buildings, bridges, towers, statues, and temples, which were textured and shaded to add depth to the ruined city. Scanline VFX delivered 450 shots. Brian Hirota served as VFX supervisor. The main sequences produced by them were the lighthouse and its surrounding environment, the Aquaman title card that follows the Boston Aquarium, Aquaman pushing the submarine to the surface and rescuing the sailors inside, Orm's tidal wave that sweeps away Arthur and Tom, including the rescue and aftermath, Black Manta being paid by Orm for the submarine's delivery, and Arthur and Mira's visit to the Kingdom of the Trench. For the title card, the team relied on Rodeo's work on the aquarium sequence and simulated up to 60,000 fish. The tidal wave sequence was realized with a large-scale simulated wave, which was integrated with a combination of day for night footage, blue screen shots for the actors and truck interiors, a truck on a rotisserie rig, an interior cabin in a water tank, and VFX simulations for debris. For creating the lighthouse, a full-size house with the base of the lighthouse tower was constructed by the FX team. Additional house and dock sets were built on sound stages. A digital build-out was done to complete the lighthouse tower and extend the dock fully out into the sea. For the sequence where the camera pushes into a toy snow globe with a tiny lighthouse inside, a CG transition was created from the lighthouse's living room set to a fully CG winter coastline. For creating the trench creatures, motion capture was done on set by stunt performers. In March 2017, prior to filming, the first look at Aquaman was shown during CinemaCon in Las Vegas, Nevada, with Momo introducing a video of director James Wan displaying a concept art sizzle reel. Later, on July 22nd, the film's footage made its debut at San Diego Comic-Con, SDCC, 2017 with a teaser presented by Momoa during the Warner Brothers panel. Director Wan presented the footage, stating that in a lot of ways, this is an origin story. In April 2018, another teaser, with new footage, was shown by Wan and Momoa at CinemaCon, joined by Amber Heard, Patrick Wilson and Nia Abdul-Team on stage. Wan teased the conflict between Arthur and Ocean Master, stating that it's almost a very classic Shakespearean story about brother from another world versus brother from another world. And it really is a classic story of sibling rivalry. On June 11, 2018, the film's first trailer was previewed at Cine Europe. On July 21, 2018, the first trailer was released at SDCC 2018, considered the best received trailer. It was later attached to theatrical showings of Teen Titans Go! To the movies, Mission Impossible, Fallout, The Meg, The Predator, and Venom. The cast appeared on Sunday, July 22nd, as guests on Conan with Conan O'Brien during SDCC. By late August, the studio held early test screenings with mixed to positive reactions shared on social media describing the film as good but not great. On October 5, 2018, a 5-minute extended video was released by Warner Brothers. The first official TV spot for the film came on October 16, followed by a second on November 1. The same month, character posters were released for Aquaman, Mera, Black Manta, Ocean Master, King Nereus, Queen Atlanta, and Invisible Poe. On November 7, the studio announced the promotion tour schedule, which would take place during November and December with fan events, screenings, and premieres, including Beijing, London, New York City, Manila, Los Angeles, Miami, Gold Coast, Sydney, and Honolulu. 94. Additionally, it was announced that the film would be screened on December 7, 2018, during Brazil Comic-Con, CCXP, in Sao Paulo. The following week, an official behind-the-scenes featurette was released, which included footage not seen in the mainstream trailers. 2 days later, the film's two main posters were released, depicting Aquaman and Mera in their costumes. On November 19th, the final trailer was released, alongside the announcement of ticket sales. The same day, 30 minutes of footage was shown in China during the first stop of the film's promotion tour, generating rave reactions. The film's financial success has been attributed to the studio's marketing plan that attracted a broad demographic, particularly women, through advertising, social media and promotional partners. Aquaman had its world premiere at the Empire, Leicester Square, in London on November 26, 2018. It was released in the United States by Warner Brothers Entertainment and rented 3D, Dolby Cinema, IMAX, IMAX 3D, 4DX, and screens on December 21st. On November 19th, Edm Tickets announced that Amazon Prime members in the United States would have early access to tickets for a December 15th screening of the film at select Regal, National Amusements, ArcLight Cinemas and AMC Theaters. 103. The film was released in China on December 7, in the United Kingdom on December 12, 105-106, in Argentina, Brazil, and Russia on December 13, and in India on December 14. It was previously set for July 27, 2018, and then moved to October 5, 2018, before settling on its release date. Aquaman was released for digital download on March 5, 2019, and on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray Ultra HD, 3D Blu-ray, and DVD on March 26. It has an estimated total of $23.3 million in US DVD sales, as well as an estimated total of $38.2 million in Blu-ray sales, bringing in a total of $61.6 million in domestic video sales. Aquaman grossed $335.1 million in the United States and Canada and $812.6 million in other territories, for a total worldwide gross of $1.148 billion. It became the highest-grossing installment in the zoo and the highest-grossing film based on any DC character. Deadline Hollywood calculated the net profit of the film to be $260.5 million when factoring together all expenses and revenues, making it the fifth most profitable release of 2018. The day after announcing the early Amazon screenings, Aquaman's first 24-hour pre-sale totals became the highest in the history of Atom tickets, beating out Avengers, Infinity War as well as outpacing Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, another film Amazon Prime had offered early to subscribers the previous December. The film made $2.9 million from the Amazon preview screenings at 1,225 theaters, higher than the $1.86 million made by Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. In the United States and Canada, Aquaman was released alongside Bumblebee, Second Act, and Welcome to Marwen and was projected to gross $65 to $70 million in its opening weekend and $120 million over its first 5 days, with some tracking figures going as high as $150 million. The film made $28 million on its first day, including $9 million from Thursday night previews, a total of $13.7 million including the Amazon screenings and a Wednesday preview. It went on to debut at $67.9 million, $73.2 million including all early showings, topping the box office but marking the lowest opening of the year. It then made $11 million on Monday and $22.1 million on Christmas Day, one of 6 films to ever gross over $20 million on the holiday. Its 5-day total opening was $105.7 million. The film made $52.1 million in its second weekend, a drop of 23%, as well as $10.1 million on New Year's Eve and $16.8 million on New Year's Day. The film then remained in first place for a third consecutive weekend, grossing $31 million. The film made $17.4 million in its fourth weekend of release but was dethroned by The Upside, which exceeded expectations to become STX Films' first #1 box office opening with $20.4 million. In China, where the film was released 2 weeks prior to its US debut, the film made $24.6 million, 169.5 million yen, on its first day, representing 86% of the market share and setting a Warner Bros. Opening day record in the country. It went on to debut at $93.6 million, 644.8 million yen, marking the best ever opening for the zoo, Warner Bros., and a December release in the country. It overtook the entire Lifetime the gross of Wonder Woman there in just 3 days. The film grossed $12.99 million on Monday, thus crossing $100 million, $107.7 million. By Thursday, its 5th day, the film had made $135.3 million, surpassing the lifetime totals of every solo Marvel Cinematic Universe film. As of April 4, 2019, the film had grossed $298.33 million in China. In the Philippines, Aquaman is the biggest Warner Bros. And DC film of all time, with a cumulative gross of PHP 536.4 million, surpassing Justice League and becoming the 6th most successful film of all time in the country. The film became the highest-grossing film of the decade in Romania. On review aggregator, Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 66% based on 383 reviews with an average rating of 6.04/10. The website's critical consensus reads, "Aquaman swims with its entertainingly ludicrous tide, offering up CGI superhero spectacle that delivers energetic action with an emphasis on good old-fashioned fun." Metacritic surveyed 50 critics' reviews and assessed 22 as positive, 21 as mixed, and 7 as negative. The website assigned an aggregate score of 55 out of 100, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A- on an A+ to F scale, while those at Post-Track gave it an 82% overall positive score and a 69% definite recommend. Peter Debreuge of Variety criticized the dialogue but praised Wan's direction, the production design, and the final act, writing, "The biggest surprise here is how, after the running time of a standard-length film has elapsed, Aquaman suddenly kicks the movie up a level for the finale. At just the moment this critic's eyes tend to glaze over in superhero movies, typically, as the villain goes nuclear and a portal to another dimension opens, threatening to destroy the planet, Wan unleashes a massive deep-sea battle on a par with The Lord of the Rings." Germain Lussier of IO9 wrote, "Aquaman is all about spectacle. It's filled with ambition. It's always about trying to put the coolest, most imaginative sequence on screen at every single turn of the story, no matter what the cost." Writing for The Wrap, William Bibbiani called the film a weird and wonderful superhero adventure that strives, and almost succeeds, to be the most epic superhero movie ever made. Writing for Rolling Stone, Peter Travers gave the film 2.5 out of 5 stars, praising Wan's ambition and Momoa's performance but criticizing the plot and dialogue, writing, "Aquaman is a mess of clashing tones and shameless silliness, but a relief after all the franchise's recent superhero boom." Chris Nashawaty of Entertainment Weekly graded the film a C-, writing, "It can't decide if it wants to be silly or serious, a superhero movie or parody of one. Unfortunately, the bloated, waterlogged film is loaded with crummy CGI, cheesy costumes, and runner dialogue delivered by actors who are too good to traffic in such nonsense." For the Chicago Tribune, Michael Phillips gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4, criticizing the film's script and Wan's direction, saying, "Watching this movie is like spending 2 hours and 27 minutes staring at a gigantic aquarium full of digital sea creatures and actors on wires, pretending to swim." Mazoller Sites of RogerEvert.com gave Aquaman 3.5 out of 4 stars, positively comparing the film to SpongeBob SquarePants in its lack of concern for scientific accuracy, along with praising the treatment of characters crying as a normal byproduct of pain or joy instead of a shameful loss of dignity. Sites stated that it takes skill to be as ridiculous as this movie. Aquaman feels simultaneously like a spoof